Kirk Yang is Managing Director and Head of Tech Hardware for Asia, ex-Japan at Barclays. He's here to look at all that. Why does everybody get it wrong every time, it seems, apart from one quarter that we looked at in the last sort of 15 of them? They always come in ahead of estimates. What is it? Is it down to Apple's guidance being incredibly conservative?
That's one of the reasons. The guidance is always too conservative, so no one really takes that seriously. I think the concern with Apple is law of large numbers. Apple's been growing like crazy for the last 2-3 years. Eventually, it will slow down, again, because law of large numbers.
Well, no, I dispute that. I mean, let's have a look at China. And if you look at 20% of revenues now coming from China, it's only just started off there. I mean, this would be a huge market. It could be it may well be the biggest market they have.
Agreed. I think that's the reason most analysts got it wrong for this quarter, because before the results, that was an interesting quarter. There was a lot of concern going to quarter. The Apple stock was trading down for the last 2 weeks because they saw the iPhone activation in the U.S., AT&T and Verizon were actually down. But they forgot about outside the U.S., like you said, China. In January, Apple added China Unicom, China Telecom as a new carrier in China. Apple said on a conference call that China now accounts for 20% of the sales. So that's right, exactly. I think that we are not there yet. We're at least 1 or 2 years away before it saturates.
Look, I went through the earnings. I went through the sheet, and honestly, I couldn't really find much to fault it. What did you find? Was there any disappointment there?
I would say the slight disappointment is on the iPad.
Yeah, it didn't do as well, did it, as people were thinking?
Exactly. Before the results, the consensus was between 11 to 12. Some as high as 13 on the whisper number. Actually, it was 11.8. We knew that there might be a little bit shortfall because component shortage. With the new iPad, you need better resolution. So the component panel suppliers, especially LG and Sharp, could not supply enough panels. So there was some shortage in 1Q, but going to 2Q, we have enough panels. So the shortage should go away. It's almost like iPhone 4S in the December quarter, there was some supply constraint. So basically, that's probably the only negative, but it's such a small thing, no one cares.
But if we look at the iPad, new iPad, do you think the response to it has been slightly disappointing?
With the new iPad?
Yeah.
I would say it's higher resolution, but a lot of people do not need higher resolution. But the key thing is that they lowered the iPad 2 by $100. I think that's a very sweet spot for pricing, and that puts pressure on the Amazon Kindle Fire, for example. With cheaper components, in a conference call, the CEOs talk about the price elasticity of iPad 2. So I think that you're going to see iPad shipment doing well.
But it also shows you one other thing, doesn't it, Kirk?
Yes.
That it's not such a massive leap to the new iPad, doesn't it?
Exactly. So I think that you're still going to see product segmentation going forward. Some people love to watch movies. They need a new iPad. Some people just read internet or do emails. The iPad 2, again, $399, very good value proposition.
Okay, well, all right. Is there anybody, in your opinion, who's getting close to the offerings that Apple has? Let's just talk about iPhone.
Sure.
And we're looking at iPhone 5 later this year as well, and that could be a step up, and quite a big step, because iPhone 4S was not that big a leap from iPhone 4.
That's exactly right. iPhone 4S was a disappointment from a hardware perspective, but it still sold 37 million units in 4Q.
It's astonishing, isn't it?
It's amazing. With iPhone 5, we expect much higher numbers. iPhone 5, bigger screen, 4G LTE, thinner, lighter. That's going to be a big product driver. That's the reason we like Apple's supply chain.
And we're also talking here about new casing as well, because it's being mentioned in whispers about some sort of casing which is going to be sort of glass or plastic based, which is going to be 20 times stronger than the current casing.
Exactly. It will be thinner, it will be metal casing. There was some rumor about liquid metal, but we think it's more metal casing. More metal casing. So I think the iPhone 5 will surprise a lot of people. Again, that's the reason we are very bullish on the Apple supply chain. You mentioned Honghai and Pegatron earlier. That's our two top picks. We like components, guys. AAC in Hong Kong. We like Largon, camera modules, simple battery, fast contact casing. The whole supply chain will do very well. Okay,
very quickly though, I mean, just getting back to the question, is anybody at the moment anywhere near the smartphone, in the smartphone market, close to what Apple is doing?
The only company is Samsung. Obviously, Google Android has bigger market share. We have more company making that. Samsung, Apple wins because the ecosystem, because App Store, the software. Samsung wins on hardware. They have the bigger screen, they have the OLED screen. So Samsung actually have vertical integration. They make processor, even for Apple. They make screen, they make DRAM, NAND. So Samsung is only competitive on hardware. That's why
it's amazing. You're a rival and, of course, you're a supplier. But on top of that, you've got also litigation taking place. And, that is the overhang here as well, isn't it? I mean, these patent disputes could come back and hit Apple.
Exactly. So that's the interesting thing about tech industry. They can be competitors and suppliers and customers. That's why eventually Apple wants to kind of shift away from Samsung. That's why you saw Sharp, you saw LG Display, even maybe TSMC eventually. So basically, Apple does see Samsung as competitors, but hopefully that they can resolve litigation because it's good for everybody.
Kirk, last question.
Yes.
Does the Apple share price, I mean, 7% up after hours, does it keep rising after, well, a bit of disappointment lately?
We've been very bullish on Apple. Our house view is over $700 target price. Actually, my colleague Ben Risey in the U.S., who covers Apple, did a report that Apple can eventually hit EPS at $75. If we 10 times multiple, $750. So I don't think we're there yet. Again, a lot of large numbers concerned. We're at least 1 to 2 years away from that.
Yeah, I mean, some people are predicting $1,000 there as well for the share price. Thank you very much indeed for that. Kirk Yang there from Barclays.